We have a digital payment services provider. It's MojaPay. It has launched. It's an innovative financial products and services app, which primarily targets people and businesses in townships and rural areas. This app is aimed at bringing more convenience, inclusion to masses of customers and businesses. And in addition to this, it aims to create business opportunities for people that can sign up as agents, sell products that are on offer in-app for commission. The app has been developed to take advantage of the increasing smartphone penetration and improving internet coverage in rural areas. So today I have Mr. Xolisa Vuza, who's the co-founder and CTO at Asante Digital Group, to tell us more about MojaPay. Yes. So, Xoli, can I call you that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
No, that's cool. Tell us, what is MojaPay? I do know there was a previous platform called DigiToken. So what is MojaPay? What is DigiToken?
Sure, no problem. So thanks for having me, and thanks for the opportunity to have a chat. I think firstly, DigiToken is no more. So DigiToken is an old, you call it version 1 of MojaPay that was called DigiToken. So what we did is we basically bumped up the features and functionality, and I'll talk about that just now. And then we basically rebranded the old DigiToken into MojaPay. So DigiToken as a brand and as an app does not exist in our world. We don't talk of DigiToken anymore. It's dead. We have MojaPay. However, all the functionality that we had in DigiToken exists in MojaPay, and of course, plus more. So what does plus more mean? So let me just maybe explain. So in DigiToken, we had the whole concept of being able to use the client as either the app either as an individual, so meaning you could log on and drive the services that are in the app, meaning you could buy your airtime, you could buy your data, you could buy your electricity, and you could pay for accounts. Yeah. And that functionality was also available to an agent. So an agent, simply put, is just someone who's able to do the same functionality, but on your behalf. So if you don't have a smartphone and you're in a village, because remember, we've built this platform for village township-based communities, first and foremost. Of course, it doesn't mean that we don't target, people in the urban areas. Of course we do, but first and foremost, I mean, our core thing is to drive inclusion in those areas. So all of that functionality basically then exists in MojaPay. But what we've done in MojaPay is we've also realized that we also need to actually include businesses. So it's not just about the individual and the agents that service those individuals. We've realized that the agents themselves actually could potentially be people that have businesses. Someone with a spaza shop could be an agent. But what we've then done is we've included functionality for payments as per the definition that says we call ourselves a payments and product distribution platform. So from a payments perspective, basically you can sign up as a merchant. So as a merchant, it basically means that you get assigned a unique QR code to your business. And that QR code effectively gives you access to receive payments, just like the likes of Zappa and SnapScan, as you see in the market currently. Yeah. So you can pay that at your shop. You can actually then get people scanning, that QR code using MojaPay, and all those payments reflect immediately on your app and also on the back office portal that we have for you as a merchant. And you can actually track, all the payments that are made to you, and those payments basically get settled to you. Now, the whole functionality is obviously prepaid. From a customer perspective, so the customer must have value in the wallet, otherwise that payment is not possible to happen. So that's the first bit that we've added. That functionality we've also extended to what we call the supplier. So the supplier to us is just another merchant, but it's a big type of merchant. So someone like a Coca-Cola, and those guys basically collect monies, from the spaza shops in the townships. But they have some real challenges that we spoke to them about, around collecting that money. One being the risk, and two being just the whole efficiency, around visibility. So first of all, they don't know how much money they're collecting until it's counted and brought to the depots, with those security, vans,
Yeah,
transporting the
yeah.
money. And then they also don't know who's collecting what at what point in time. So the big problem we are solving is to actually bring that online. So when you use MojaPay, basically as a shop owner, so you are just a merchant, you also have a wallet, you can actually scan and pay Coca-Cola. When you get drinks worth 1,000 rands, you can scan and pay for that 1,000 rands from your wallet, and that's visible all the way, to Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola can actually see that in this particular area we've collected all these monies, and the totals that have been collected is X, Y, Z, and we can do that at branch level. Because remember, what they have is what we call the head office, and then they have regional offices, and then they have different parts, of
Yeah.
the structure, including the depots and the regions that they support. So that's the functionality. But also we've got more features. So you can actually transfer monies between wallets. So meaning you can actually just transfer value of your wallet, to someone else. You can request a payment, which is quite cool. So inside the app, I can say to you, Lebu, you owe me 100 rands, and I can just put your number and say, pay me the 100 rands, and all you get is a pop-up on your side of the app, and that pop-up effectively, when you say I accept, it basically moves the money from your wallet to this other person's wallet, but obviously that is provided that you are both on the app. And then there's other functionality like sub-wallets. So sub-wallets are basically a way you can distribute your main wallet into specific parts. It's just like having pockets in your wallet, but think of pockets as virtual pockets that allow you to track your expenditure. So you could choose to say, I'm going to have a little sub wallet that talks to school fees. I'm going to have a sub wallet that talks to, pocket money or whatever. And when you pay, you've got the ability, to basically say which wallet or sub wallet you want to pay from. So all of those features are basically what we've added on the old digital token, and we've got MojaPay now.
Okay, that is pretty awesome. I mean, it's a mouthful, and like I've burning questions from just what you've just said now. So with the concept of a wallet, right? Me as a user, is there a limit to the amount that one can deposit in the wallet? So in layman's terms, can I get my salary in Mojas, if that's even a term?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the wallet itself, by law, we are not allowed in a month to exceed an amount of 25,000 rands. So if your salary is up to 25,000 rands, by all means you could deposit it. But the moment it's more than that, we are obviously not allowed in virtual wallets because of the risk and the law, from a banking perspective. However, those are laws that we think are outdated because really the money sits in the bank. A wallet is simply just a ledger that tracks, how much money, one has. And we also do KYC, on our customers. So I think, it's a law and a rule that's just based on fear. That's not there, but at the moment we have to comply to a 25,000 rands limit in a month. So you can actually put different amounts and they could add up to 25,000 rands. Otherwise, you are not allowed, to do more than 25,000 rands. But that's also assuming that you are fully KYC, meaning we have your ID and we have your proof of address, with us, and we can actually tell who you are,
And this is irrespective whether I'm an agent or I'm a merchant on the platform. That 25.
It's irrespective. Yeah, it's irrespective. So we see that as a limitation, call it that, for merchants, because remember they move large sums of money.
Correct. Yeah.
But I think with the businesses, so we participate also in other groups like the Payment Association of South Africa.
Okay.
We've raised this issue that it's actually quite limiting, because if you think of a Coca-Cola, I mean, they collect millions of rands. I mean, they don't collect 25,000 rands. Now, the definition of the wallet, as we understand it, and the limit that's there, it talks to expenditure. So how much of that amount can you actually spend? Now, if you are just collecting it and accumulating it and it's not spent, we believe in our understanding of the law that it doesn't really apply in that way, because all we're doing is tracking numbers. We're not taking money, and there's no spend being done on that wallet, because it's just a way to collect an account. It's just a virtual way of making sure that we can track and collect how much money is moving around.
And I'm guessing maybe the banks, are coming from one perspective of, the fraud that can happen on these. Are there any challenges of that nature that you guys have faced?
Yeah, look, I mean, the fraud, strangely enough, is actually on the bank side. So I mean, on our side, it's virtually impossible to have fraud. And the simple reason for that is that the whole system is prepaid. You cannot transact on something that you haven't given. So if Lebu has a value of 100 rands, it means Lebu has put in 100 rands, and we have it up front. So it's prepaid. So it's not postpaid. So no one can go scan and say, I'm scanning an amount of 1,000. That's not accounted for. That 1,000 is sitting on one of the bank accounts, basically, when you have access to it. That's so from a fraud perspective there, we don't have that. Where we've seen the fraud is actually on the credit card side, which is managed by the banks. As you can see, I mean, if you look at the numbers from Sabric, who look after, the bank risk, processes, the credit card fraud is really a mess. Actually, we see that as an opportunity on our side to also allow digital payments, because one of the things you can do with the QR code is that you can display it on a website. So if you have an e-commerce website and someone has value in the wallet, you can just display that QR code. When you pay, you can say pay with MojaPay, and you can see the QR code and you can scan it. But also, we want to allow the direct integration through our APIs that we're busy with into our platform, where we can verify that we've got the products. And basically, that website becomes our merchant, and we can actually pay that money over for that particular product that is being bought. So from a fraud perspective, it's virtually low. We haven't seen it happen in the wallet itself. We've seen it happen outside the wallet, where people are using other people's credit cards to either charge the wallet or even use it to buy, just like you would commit fraud online with someone's card. And that talks to really other things that banks are failing to manage. Things like exposing client details, someone knowing, getting access to a one-time PIN that is sent by the bank to the client. Someone is having clients' contact numbers, so they phone and say, I'm from the bank, give me the one-time PIN or approve this transaction on the app. So that's actually where we saw the fraud. And that fraud is attributed to the weak processes, that the banks have. It's not attributed to the wallet or anything that happens on the side of the wallet. No one has hacked anyone's wallet or used anyone's wallet.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you touched on one thing that I'll come back to, which is the integration portion. I know there's quite a large amount of, I could call them, systems that you integrate to in the remittance space, municipality, insurance, banking, health, traffic departments. And to me, I'm thinking, this is a massive project that you've undertaken, and how long has it taken you to and I mean the company, how long has it taken you guys to build this? What was the funding like, and what were the tools of choice for you guys to get to a live productive application?
Yeah. So I mean, it's obviously, I mean, I think you were fortunate because you were on the webinar earlier, I believe.
Yes,
and
I was.
You got to experience firsthand some of the choices we made. So as you can imagine, so just to put things in perspective, and so you can have an understanding. So Vodacom is VodaPay. So VodaPay is not a Vodacom product. It's basically a white labeled Alipay product. So they took Alibaba's Alipay and the white labeled it. They may have done some tweaks here and there, but at the core of it, if you take Alipay, you can do all of that functionality. So they've taken Alipay, spent some months saying they're building, VodaPay, and they came out into the market, as VodaPay. Our platform is built from scratch, from literally from the data model all the way, to business processes, to back office, to the apps. And a lot of people experience, just the app side, of the platform. They don't even begin to experience the back office side. And that's another important aspect, because remember, if you don't have back office, you are running blind. You don't see what customers are doing. You have no control around who's active, who's not active. You have no. So when someone phones and says, listen here, I gave you 1,000 rands and I bought something worth 200 rands, and I've lost 800 rands. You must have visibility to all of that data, right? Because then you must answer them. So listen, I can see here at 10:25, you bought this product and it was delivered to you successfully. So you have to talk with certainty, otherwise you open up yourself to a lot of doubt, with customers, and you create chaos. So with this type of business, you must know what's happened and what the state of what happened is, so that you can be very bold around saying, listen, you are trying to rob me, because I can see here this product was delivered. I sent it via SMS or email. I can see it here. I can show you the receipt. Got it. I can see the voucher number that you bought. So we've got that complete visibility if you look at back office. Now, you spoke about the complexity,
Yes.
So what we've done, which we've done very cleverly, is that we've chosen to go, super agile route when we built it. And I'm not going to give away, obviously, some of the secrets, that we have, because that's really the competitive advantage we have. But what we've done is we've spent quite a lot of time, thinking about the architecture, and that's a critical part, around the architecture. So we spent quite a lot of time before we even started building to say what should be the architecture of this thing that is scalable, right? And we are starting to see the benefits now. So let me give you an example on the architecture. So if you came to me and you run Lebo Enterprises or whatever, Maglasa, and you're saying, listen, Xolisa, I want to onboard my product. So we've seen a couple of guys that say, listen, I have an insurance product. In fact, we're sitting with two that have insurance product and some life cover. It's their product. They're saying, listen, we are allowed to give you this product and you can white label it, as a MojaPay product. And then what we want is that it must be then distributed on your platform. So meaning a customer can sign up for that product on your platform. So our architecture allows us to do that without writing code, except for the integration part, right? Where we need to then call either their RESTful APIs or whatever integration that we have. But that, again, becomes a very simple thing for us because of the type of platform that we've chosen, to use. I think earlier you heard about OutSystems. We chose OutSystems because OutSystems has got readily available adapters to connect to either directly to databases, to RESTful APIs, to web services. And in this case, I have to say, we've got a very complex integration. So we do what we call a socket layer integration. So we speak directly to the low-level connect, because what happens with RESTful APIs and web services is that they abstract sockets. So you don't see the low-level socket. So with the socket, you have to connect to a certain port. You have to wait for a data stream. So it's not like a very well-structured message.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's not like, you know this because you're in the tech space. So it's not like a well-structured SOAP message or a very well-structured JSON, in the RESTful APIs. So what you get is actually an XML message. So you have to understand the tags of that XML and then map accordingly. And it's not very stable, unfortunately. So, but this platform handles it quite well, and again, it talks to the integration builder component that's built on the platform. It's quite matured. It's built for different scenarios, and it really supports us building very, very quickly. So just coming back to the timeline. So on DigiToken, there were learnings that we needed to have. So I think, if I can just think, I think to get to a version of DigiToken that was quite solid, it probably took us about 6 months, right? Of
6 months.
Agile. Yeah. But remember, in the 6 months, we didn't build all the features at once. When I talk about the 6 months, I'm talking about the different iterations that gave us, the different features that we had. For example, we had the individual, then we added the agent. So we had the product initially, and we added another product. And then we started adding sub-agents. I didn't speak about sub-agents. We have a hierarchy in the platform where if you are an agent, you can actually have a group of people that cross-sell with you, and you can actually see their performance. You can see what they're doing with you, because they're linked to you, and you can actually allocate money into their wallets. So if you have 1,000 rands, you can split the 1,000 rands and give each person 10 rands to go sell whatever products that they're selling. And all that commission rolls up to you, and you can then split it based on your agreement that you have with them. But if you think about that kind of structure, there's a lot of use cases for it. If you sell insurance, or there's people that are working with others, and there needs to be a supervisor somewhere. So there's a lot of use cases that are built in the architecture, So what we got right was the architecture, which allowed us to then scale very quickly. And the initial version took us 6 months. Now, if you ask about MojaPay, then adding the features on MojaPay, it took us about 3 months. So we had 6 months on the first version of DigiToken, which gave us solid functionality. But then what we did is we spent probably another 3 to 4 months iterating, adding functionality, because the way we build is we go out, and then we start improving the functionality. We are doing the same thing with MojaPay. We got feedback on some of the difficulties we have on user onboarding. And we're actually busy now with some sprints to actually update user onboarding to make it a little bit simpler. We are busy with some sprints on the payment side to make it be easy for people to pay. And we are busy with some sprints on the agent side to actually allow people to do this money transfer thing in or out of the app in the villages, rather than depending on having been in the app, inside the app, to be able to do that. And we think those are features and functionality that give us competitive advantage. We don't talk about them yet because obviously they're not live, but as we speak, we're actually busy with the next set of iterations. I think you asked about the cost, so it's self-funded, sadly, from our pocket, from other parts of our business, because we do other things in the group. I mean, we saw the assignment. We have a consulting arm of the business. It's also funded from our own pockets. We've had to sacrifice some of the things, like the things we wanted to do. And
I can imagine.
We see it as an investment because we know it's going to pay dividends, later on. That's what we see with these kind of platforms.
I think
in the African.
Yeah, I think every time you say something, like a light bulb just switches in my head. I mean, you've mentioned that whole hierarchy feature of the agents that you guys have in place. It opens up so many opportunities for different types of businesses to be onboarded onto the platform. But for me, somebody who's sitting here, who's looking at that as an opportunity, and I'm thinking, you know what, I'm struggling to make ends meet. I'm going to onboard onto MojaPay. What is MojaPay going to take from my transactions that happen on MojaPay? What are the fees like? That's where I'm going.
So there's so I mean, our fees are, I think because we are a startup, right, we've obviously got standard fees, and those are published on our website. I mean, I think for the transactions that we charge for, I think we take 1.5% in most of them, 1.5% of the transaction that happens. So those are on the payment side, because those are ours, remember. So you must remember how the platform works. We distribute other people's products. So meaning the product is not ours. Let me give you a direct example. So the electricity, it doesn't belong to us. The data doesn't belong to us. It's for the telco. The water doesn't belong to us. It's for the municipality. So what we do there is we facilitate an easy way to actually drive those transactions on our platform. And then how we get paid for that is commission. So there's agreed commission numbers that I can't talk about here, obviously. Domain. And what we're doing is we've said, out of the goodness of our hearts, because we want to open opportunities, we didn't really need to have the agent model accessing or driving this functionality that we have. We could have just said one self-service, but we said, look, let's be realistic. I mean, if you look at the type of customers we are targeting, the chances are that they would want to be able to do this in store. They would, if they're in town, they want to go to a MojaPay agent. If they're in the village, they want to go to a MojaPay agent. But by the way, if they're in a corner, somewhere caucus, they want to go to a MojaPay agent and say, double sell me the airtime, because we have mobility. Hence the whole decision around it being on the app, and it being anywhere, anytime. To allow for these transactions to happen fluidly. We don't want you to say, I need to drive to some place to do it. But if you're at a spaza, by all means. So that's the first part. Then the second part, that again, I don't want to talk about in the public domain, because those are deals that we do, we sign up agents, is that we share, the value of what we make from those transactions, that I spoke about. We also share that value with the agents, because if their agent initiated those transactions, the agent then obviously has to have, a share of the slice of the transaction. So meaning if someone walks to your shop and they say,
Yeah.
Lebo, I want to send a Moja voucher, and you initiate that on the app. We know on the app, and by the way, we'll allocate that into your commission, and you can view your commission numbers on the app. So everything is transparent. There's a commissions tab, you can see the commission, and you can see for the month how much you made out of which transaction. All of that is actually available on the platform. You know, as I talk about the platform, I actually realize how massive it is, and
It is.
I think we're doing injustice in terms of marketing and selling it, but it's a process. You know, it's a journey.
Yeah.
I digress, but I think what we're doing now is we're getting to talk to the likes of Google. So Google reached out to us, and they want to help us, with using their tools to intelligently market the platform, because really what we need is to get the platform exposed and marketed as much as we
much as you can.
So opportunities like these, and others, like getting in the media, which we haven't done, quite well yet for MojaPay. Those we need to accelerate in the coming year, seeing that we're leading to December, coming to the new year. So that's really going to be what keeps us, driving and hammering.
Yeah, I think my second last question to you would be, I know you've touched on this a bit, with the mention of Google, but what are your growth ambitions? Are you purely focused on, capitalizing in SA and then looking, across Africa? What are your growth projections or ambitions?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. So what we intend doing is understanding and actually just getting the model. We think there's a huge opportunity in South Africa. So as you can see, telcos, Vodacom got it wrong with Nedbank and Pesa. We see that they're trying to do it again, but you must understand that MojaPay and VodaPay are not the same thing, right? So if you look at what's offered in VodaPay, so VodaPay has the merchant platform, what they call the mini stores for the different shops, but they are targeting the big shops, the macros, all these other products that we believe the masses don't necessarily consume. So what would differentiate us? We're very careful, is the product that we distribute. Let me call it that. What is this sort of product that we want to distribute? Let me give you an example. One of the products that we're busy onboarding is actually a product that allows you to also get a cow when someone dies in your family. You get a time, you get a cow, you get a tent, and that's something that will resonate with someone in our target market versus someone who's just saying, look, you can get a TV at Macro, you can buy it online. People are probably not the kind of people we're targeting are probably not going to be interested in that kind of thing, right? Because that's not what makes them excited. They, for those kind of things, they would probably want to go to town, see the TV, grab it, come back with it at home. But when you start talking about selling insurance, or even collecting fees for insurance, those get interesting. Paying for DSTV like we have, don't go to town, pay for DSTV around the corner, which they do already, by the way. But now you can do it on a phone as people get smartphones. Because if you look at the projections and the projected growth of internet and the smartphones, you can see that it's basically going up. There's lots of efforts to improve internet coverage from all sorts of quarters. You know about the efforts. So we think we're going to see a very different type of environment in South Africa and the rest of the continent. But also from a population perspective, the future is right here in the continent, right? If you look at the population growth and the numbers in terms of growth, Africa is actually seen as a place where it's going to be happening, in the next 10 to 20 years, in the next 2 decades. Europe is continuing to shrink in terms of the numbers. So you'll have a large volume of people that are born in the internet age in Africa, and they would want to have access to these services. Now, there's quite a lot of activity in the continent, that we're seeing. And even in Nigeria as one country, we are seeing a lot of activity where you've got these platforms. There's many examples. One just got, MSF Africa just got $100 million injection. I think it's a Series C, investment that they're having. There's the likes of OPay, I think that's in the Ivory Coast where SoftBank invested. So people are seeing that all these things, when they converge, you're going to have this massive boom. But from our focus, in terms of the focus, you asked me. So, if you look at Africa, so there's a massive opportunity in many countries. For some odd reason, M-Pesa did well in Kenya. but they haven't rolled out as aggressively as they did, in other countries. And the reason for that is probably just the legislation in those countries and some of the nuances, that exist in those countries. Funny enough, M-Pesa has just only rolled out the merchant and these other functionalities that we have already. They've just rolled out those functionalities even now. I mean, if you download their app and look at what they have, they've only just about rolled out those functionalities. So if you look at our strategy is an Africa strategy. So we are targeting getting into other countries in the African continent. That's definitely our strategy. However, we need to get it right here in South Africa
first.
But I do think that we might potentially see massive growth in other markets in the African continent because of the way the platform is built. Just to give you one example, we are busy talking to Tanzania, the Tanzanian government. And the Tanzanian government wants to invite us to have some discussions around how this could be used to help rural folks, people, out there. But one of the things they spoke about, for example, is these people don't necessarily have smartphones yet. How do we then start bringing things like SSD, so they can use the platform if they don't go to the agent? And those are some of the things we are looking at in terms of the roadmap to say, how do we also make it easy? If you can either go to the agent if you don't have the phone, or if you have a one of those phones that you can't use on the internet, we can effectively use USSD. But also, if you've got poor coverage, how do we start supporting some of the things like offline transactions that happen? So there's quite a lot of thinking around how we craft the next version of it. But the danger with that, and we're just very careful, is that you leave the onboarding side of the customer behind and you build this beast Rolls Royce. So we gotta balance. We gotta get the onboarding, and then we gotta then also drive, the innovation side of things. We're not worried about the innovation side of things. We think that we've got very unique functionality and features that are quite differentiating. We just need to get the customer educated, and we need to get the partners, educated, and we need to make the platform as accessible as much as we can. So some of the activities we are driving, by the way, because if you ask us about our client onboarding strategy, so we also are different. So if you look at a lot of platforms, they will target customers directly. We also do, but because of the models we've got, sorry, I've forgotten another model we have. We're what we call the super agent model, and cloud allows us to do that. So basically, we run on a platform that allows us to have multi-tenants, right? So basically, we could actually slice the platform and white label it and say, this is for my Glazana. So my Glazana then is responsible for handling the volumes of customers and bringing them onto the platform, because it's your business, but you are running on our platform, and where we get our value is where we share the revenue that happens on the transactions that we are driving on your side of the platform. But also, if you then choose to onboard our products that we already have, you could also onboard other products, that you bring, because you might have another idea to say around the architecture that we have. I want to have my Glazana, and by the way, with my Glazana, I would target this type of customer. You are responsible for that. It allows you to run your business. So whether you are a church, a political organization, a soccer club, or whatever, we could then run these instances of MojaPay that allow you to have white labeled, front ends that you use, all connected.
So how easy is it for me to build on top of it? You've used OutSystems. Maybe my team is a fully .NET team. Am I able to go and start digging into code and furthering the application?
So we wouldn't open up code because it's our IP, obviously.
So how do we build on top of it?
So you would have access to APIs, basically. So what we're busy doing now is exposing the core functionality. So for example, you'll have the wallet API, you'll have the customer API, you'll have the API that talks to transactions. So we've got all those classes of APIs that would expose to you. So if you want to build something outside the platform that talks to those APIs, you can consume those APIs, and obviously would then charge, based on the calls that you make into us. The other way you could do it, and you are probably the wrong guy, to actually use the platform, because what we're targeting is people that have businesses and affiliations but have no interest. That's the primary target for this multi-tenant platform. But they have no interest or capability of building technical things. What they want to say is, let's take a ZCC. They say, I have many members. I want to run an app and this platform as a ZCC platform, which is actually what Time Bank almost tried to do. But the difference is that they just signed, to say, look, you will bank with us. But here it's different. We'll say, ZCC, you have a ZCC app, call it whatever. It's not called MojaPay, it's an instance of it. Call it whatever, Moria, what. And people can actually use it. You can actually even now start integrating to Time Bank where you have this partnership. And you can actually start seeing some transactions that happen there. You can integrate things there, all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of target that we have. However, we're not closing guys like you that are smart, that say, listen, I have my own portal here, Xolisa, or I want to use the wallet capability to drive certain transactions. I want to use, whatever feature, that you may have built to drive it. And the API strategy becomes very important to us. So I was talking about our growth strategy. So it's partner driven through these super agents. So that's the first point. The second point is also through the APIs. So we also see a user volume that will come from partners versus us, driving this. In fact, we were talking about it the other day to say, at some point we may have to choose to talk about whether we offer the platform and we have then people interfacing with the consumers, just like other platforms that we see out there that have that kind of strategy. Or do we do both? Do we keep MojaPay, as the product, we have our own consumers and the support side of it and all of those things? Or do we then say, here's MojaPay, the platform, you have these capabilities available to you, onboard your products, this is how easy you can do that, integrate to it, this is how easy you can do it, run your own business, we'll then take care of the infrastructure and the back end. You will pay us, fees for running on the platform, because that would give us, flexibility in terms of supporting multiple languages, multiple use cases, and we'll then just keep the factory, that supports all of these different tenants that are on our platform.
We could go on all day. I'm really fascinated about the work that you guys have done. I have personally the app on my phone. I was playing around with it before this interview. It's really robust, well built, really good looking. I mean, the UX is quite cool.
By the way, sorry to interrupt. So one of the things on our roadmap is to actually totally just turn it upside down. So if you look at the UX, which is the point I was making earlier, we've used the templates that exist, on the OutCitizens platform. However, one of the things we want to do, as part of the funding that we're busy actually, with many stakeholders trying to drive, is to invest on the UX. We actually want to reimagine it completely and make it very simple, for people to actually use it. But we're quite happy with the current version. It's early days for us. We are very bold. It's early days. We think there's some great stuff we can do with the platform. We are really excited about it. And we know that at the right point in time, when we've got the right numbers, and in fact, a lot of the investors we've spoken about, really love the concept. They love what we're trying to do. They believe in it. And all they're waiting for, they're saying, guys, just show us the traction. Once we see the traction, we're in, we'll start pumping money into it so you guys can do it. And that's really the thing that keeps us awake at night. But at the same time, it's exciting. We see an exciting opportunity there.
That is awesome. It's always a pleasure, chatting to you about this. I can see the passion that you have for this project, and I would like to kind of wish you guys well, and I can see the potential that is amidst, and I can't wait to get my hands dirty on some of the the integrations that you guys have on the platform. One last thing that I wanted to ask you is that how do people get in contact with you in terms of partnering, in terms of even the app itself? Where can we get it? Could you please just plug in for a bit there?
So the app is available on the app stores for Android and Apple. So you can get it on the Apple Store. You can get it on the Android, so Google Play. So you can download it there. So if you search for MojaPay, the app is available there. So once you download it, we'll basically keep pushing updates. So one of the things we do is we build the new functionalities, the app just updates itself, unless, of course, a major upgrade, which is what we did from DigiToken. So if you ran DigiToken, you would need to just reinstall MojaPay because of some of the components, cut-over components we have, because we fire off a camera, to just basically read the QR code. And there's some components that we use to talk to the hardware there. But otherwise, if you talk about incremental functionality, we push it directly to and when you open the app, one day just says your app needs to be updated, click here to update. You just press one button, and this thing in seconds, gives you all those features, and you run with them. So it's quite exciting, and all of those are supported by the OutSystems platform. It's really it's really, really cool. As a technical guy, I really love that stuff.
In terms of how heavy is it on data? How heavy is it on your battery life?
That's a very good question. So the app itself is very light. I forgot the size, but I was actually having a look at it. And on data, it's also very, very light. I mean, we've had people that run on 100 megs of data, and if they use only this app, and if you look at the usage, of the app as well, in terms of data, it's very low. It's actually on the low side compared to the other apps. There's plans for us to make it a PWA, a progressive web app, which would make it even lighter, because then there's nothing you are running on the, on the hardware itself, on the device itself. And that we think we need to offer as an option for those that may want, to follow that option. Natively, we can do that with the OutSystems platform. So very light, very low on consumption. But there is a plan in the roadmap, at a point in time to actually support reverse billing, where we support, this app being zero rated, and being able to be accessible with that data. But the volumes and the numbers would give us that. At this point in time, we're not there.
We could talk all day, Tolly. This app is fantastic. Like I said, I can't wait to properly engage with it. But I think one question that you didn't quite answer is, how do people partner? How do people get in contact and say, I have a business like this. Maybe it's not catered for on the application. How do I onboard it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have a website. So our website is www.mojapay.app. So if you go to that website, we've done the best to explain the use cases. It's actually crazy, because if you go to use cases, it's virtually anything that moves money, including things like petty cash, paying your gardener. It's really crazy, man. It's mind blowing, right? When you start looking. And again, that's enabled by the type of architecture we have. Now, if you then want to partner with, the one way to do it is obviously just complete that form and say, guys, I'm interested, this is what I have. And we basically get, an email dropped, on our side. But then the other way to do it is just email us, info@mojapay.app. You can just drop us an email, and you can then just highlight what it is that you want to discuss. We don't have a blanket approach to partnerships. We're not static. So we look at each situation. We've had some guys we preliminarily spoke to, and based on the potential and the numbers they're talking about, we're able to tweak, the commercial model to actually suit whatever the model is. So we don't have a static commercial model where we say, oh no, we'll share 2%. No, we don't work like that. We think that's limiting. In certain cases, someone might say, look, the story is 1, 2, 3, 4. In that case, we might say, look, in that case, then we're okay with just getting 0.5% of whatever you're doing. In some instances, and we're seeing that potential happening in the government space, we are actually open to giving the app for free. So where the app is used, as long as there's a guarantee of the volume of numbers, because we think the volume of the users then gives us the value, because they would be transacting using these products, and the value would then be derived from the usage of those users versus us charging the entity that brought the volume.
What's an example in government of a business case?
So, I can give you a very specific example. So NSFAS, if you look at NSFAS, so NSFAS has a real problem around the distribution of the grants. So grant management is a problem for government. In fact, You've seen that during COVID, where the money just disappeared, very difficult to account for it. We have a hackathon. We are participating. We've been invited to participate in a hackathon on the 1st of December.
First of December, which hackathon is this?
It's called, I think it's called G2P, government, something like that. I'll check it. But basically, it's run by the FSCA, and there will be government departments in there. There will be the World Bank in there. And effectively, they've invited a bunch of fintechs to apply to participate. We applied, we got selected. So we are actually going to be doing the demo, talking to these use cases. So the one use case is grant distribution. So using the app, you can actually distribute the SASSA grants. You can already imagine. So in back office, we have a way of charging bulk wallets. So you have a structure, you can basically just create that template, load it, just like you do with the bank systems where you do like bulk payments. You can load bulk payments. And those wallets become visible to all these people. And of course, they can then go retrieve those monies using the mechanisms that we have. And that's one of the activities we're busy with, is to say, how do we begin to sign up partners that can trust us and say, look, we'll release the monies because we trust you as a business, that we will get our money, So, but when you have government on board and government guarantees that, look, if we distribute virtually, making an example, to millions of people, and we've distributed, I'm making an example, 3 billion rands, that money is with us, we have it, it will be paid over. What we're using the platform to do is just to manage the visibility around who did we distribute that money to, and where is it at, and where, did they receive it, and where did they get it? Because one of the limitations we have with government is just these pay points. I mean, people go to town and it's just crazy, man. Why can't you give parents their money where they are? I mean, you've got spaza shops there, and you could create opportunities for those spaza shops, through a commercial deal that says, instead of giving Standard Bank or Net One, billions of rands to distribute that money, let me also take a slice of it. It doesn't have to be all of it. And I can then start migrating all of that to this platform once it's proven. And I distribute it virtually. I don't have the costs of moving that money. And people can then go to the shops, and say, listen, shop, here's my unique code, and the guy can get on the app and he can say, oh, I can see, yes, you got 1.6. Here's your 1.6. Off you go, or here's a portion of it. The other portion, I'm going to actually use it in the shop to drive some of the transactions, which talks to other functionality that we have, by the way, around the map. Because we see the merchant. You see, this is where we are different. We see the merchant as a strategic partner in the payments cycle in the African continent. We see the merchant or the agent, the guy who owns the shop. We think that guy is not respected enough, and he can actually be of much more value to a lot of guys, and you'll start seeing that coming in the future. So I mean, the other one is the NSFAS one I was mentioning. So grant distribution for NSFAS, but also the whole thing around authenticating where that money is used. It's a problem right now. Someone says, I'm giving you money. I'm making an example. I give you 3,000 rands. Someone can go take that 3,000 rands and go drink it because it's cash. What you can start doing now is to say, oh, MojaPay, you've got merchants. You've got the ability to manage the wallet, and you've got sub-wallets. Can you then split the 3,000 rand? Split it. One is cash. One, please allow it to be spent on book merchants that are signed up with government. So they must sign up. They must give discounts. You see where we're going? If this guy wants to can you get it on your platform? But now what you start doing is you give that control to an SFAS to say, oh, load it. Here's it's for this, student with this ID number or even student number. It doesn't matter. It's a unique reference to us. And those monies become available. You could never be able to spend the other monies elsewhere. You can only spend them where you allowed them to spend across the country. And those merchants would even be onboarded by NSFAS through some tender process where they are verified, vetted, and that would also allow a fair distribution of where that money is spent. By the way, government can even start saying, you shall spend this money with black merchants because we want to help their businesses. You will not go and buy these books from white-owned, shop. You will not go buy these things from ShopRite only. We want you to go to Jabu's Paza shop and buy cooking oil and these things. We want you to pay accommodation at Auntie's what if the university accommodation is close to the township. What are you doing when you start doing those things? You are starting to boost the economy. The guys have run out of ideas. There you go. So that's one of the things that we're doing. And we haven't even begun to write, about these things. And these are actually things we should be writing about extensively and talking about so that people can understand what we're doing.
I don't know what to say. There's so many ideas that just got, just popped up in my head. There's a lot. I mean, you've just solved, a BEE problem. You've just, I mean, even if you look at,
we don't even realize it. We don't even realize it. In fact, what I told you just now, I'm realizing that it's something we need to be writing down. We talk about it all the time, and it's, by the way, that functionality is there. It's built. It's already there on the platform. But we talk about it, but we don't write it. And it's a story we have to tell government when we do the hackathon, because it's a very powerful story to tell. Because it's a story of transparency. It's a story of saying, listen, you shall choose where the government money is spent, and you shall enable these people to grow, rather than, but also you shall manage the students so that they don't waste government resources. Very powerful. Just on those 4 points, it's sold. Now, if you look at the likes of the guys that are doing, like MojaPay is not there. Their thinking is nowhere near that. We think one of the banks has copied our idea because we spoke to them before they built it. We've heard that they're busy trying to build something similar. But what they can copy is the business models that we have. You saw the whole agent, sub-agent model and what that could enable. You saw that. You are seeing this big part now that I'm talking about in terms of what that also could enable in terms of the use case. You can't copy that. You can try and build a payments platform, but we always say it's not about the technology and the platform. It's about the use cases and the business models that support. In fact, we need to write a paper that talks about what are these different business models and how can people come and talk to us. In fact, that's something we need to be doing and talking about on the website so that people can know how to reach out to us. One of those we realized, by the way, Lebza, indirectly, because we had always said we had airtime, prepaid airtime, prepaid, but we didn't realize that we're actually a virtual product distribution platform. Until people came to us and they said, whoa, hang tight, I have an insurance product. I don't have an app. My product is approved. I have it. I know the constructs around it. How do I sell it? Oh, sell the product using the agents and the sub-agents. Let them walk around in the township and pay us a premium for doing that.
Yeah, like this, like the use cases are endless. I mean, even if you look at this whole problem of, this is something that just came up in my mind as you were talking. These reward cards that you keep. You have multiple reward cards from different, merchants, and it has always been a problem to kind of sort of have one wallet, because all of them give you interest at different, or they give you rewards at different values. If you get sort of centralize that on a Moja platform where 1 Moja is R1, all of these guys can just work off of this platform, and you can carry one card.
That's it. In fact, one of the things we have, we just haven't prioritized building it, but the constructs around it are very similar to what we have, because we have a commissions engine that manages and drives commissions, calculations. Very dynamic. It's a product level. We can set it up on the back office. This is the product. This is the commission. This is the product. This is the commission. This is the product. Just like the merchants. So we have different merchant types, and we can put a charge for the merchant, a specific price that the merchant pays, for transactions based on the type that they are. For a supplier, for example, Coca-Cola might say, "Gents, I'm able to give you 5% of my transaction, that I pass through." They might easily say that, because in any case, my costs are way higher than that. So if I give you 5, I still make my money. So I'm not worried about that. So we can actually do that. So it's dynamic, and that allows us to have a very clear billing, mechanism, and we can see, what's happening around the fees. Oh, by the way, you can tip the people when you pay. We've got the tipping functionality, and all of that is also visible. You can see how much tips came in and all of that functionality. Where was I going with this now? There's a lot on this platform. I've lost my train of thought. Oh, sorry. Where I was going with it is that we've also explored the idea of having a card. So if you've got your wallet, we've explored the idea of having a card that you could go swipe elsewhere or you use to actually do other transactions. So it's a MasterCard or Visa or whatever. So we've explored that. We've had talks with the guys. We know how to do that. It's just a case of when we do it, we know how we'd go about doing that kind of a thing if we needed to do it. The other thing we've explored is just the idea of card payments on the app using some other third-party partners that have but the only problem with that is that it only works for Android. And we're not quite sure if that's really, for us, that's a strategic fit. Because in any case, what we want is for the wallet to be used as a payment source, not a bank account. So, so we are just worried that we don't do something that confuses what we're trying to do at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've set a mouthful.
I have some writing to do, by the way, Lebo. Thanks for this chat, because now you've also just raised things that were sitting at the back of my mind, but I just never wrote them down, and I have a lot of writing that I just need to do quickly.
No, things I could contribute to that. But anyway, in the interest of time, I will have to let you go. But thank you for taking this interview. I will publish it on the website as soon as it's ready. And yeah, any parting thoughts?
No. So I think the important thing is, so I mean, if you look at our model, and I think I would like to highlight this, and perhaps we're not doing a great job yet. And those are some of the points I'm going to write. Is that the platform we have is open to other people to come to us. So if you have a product, you have some integration need, this is not something where we say it's our product and it's closed. We want masses of other, business people with ideas to come to us. And perhaps this is something we need to just advertise, or even talk about, in our pages, that people can come to us, talk about some of the use cases they want to enable, because some of this might just be easy. And if we see opportunities, we are happy to support those as long as we can see commercial opportunities, that exist there. And then I think lastly, the key thing here is that we've created a platform, for other people to benefit from. And there's no cost really to sign up as an agent and start selling whatever we have, processing payments. And we think people are sleeping. If you look at our youth and if you look at our communities, and perhaps it's the marketing side we need to do, right, around that message, where we even gather these youth members to say, guys, because government might even sponsor, look at the 350. Government could easily have said, that 50, we're going to put it on MojaPay, not even maybe the whole 350, but we're going to put 200 rands, go sell and drive these transactions, help others, to do money transfers, because we think that money transfers should be fluid. This idea that you must be in a physical, there must be, or you must be in one place, or, we think that those should be fluid. The exchange of money must be fluid as long as there's control and auditability around it. Then there's no risk on that.
Right, there you have it. I mean, probably we could talk all day. I think it warrants a part 2 to this, conversation that we are having. Once you've gathered your thoughts and put everything down on paper, we'd want to delve into some of these a bit more. But thanks a lot for taking this.
I think there would be, sorry to interrupt you there, Lebo. I think
no
there would
worries.
be a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I think there would be a great opportunity to have a chat around not the platform, the business models that the platform enables. I think we've been told that story. We need to have just a drive around. So what are these business models that are enabled here? What are the possibilities that are enabled? And I think, if you have a chat, around that, one could unearth a lot of things in there.
Yeah, that warrants a part 2. I'll take that as your offer for a part 2 interview. No, I'll take it happily. So, but thanks a lot for your time. I know it's late in the day, but thanks a lot for your time. This interview will be published. I'll put it up on matlazana.com. That's www.matlazana.com. And yeah, I'll let you know once everything is up. Thanks, Tolu.
Much appreciated, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And thanks for making the time so late. And sorry about the delay earlier.
Not a problem at all. Thanks. Cheers.
All right. Have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Same to you. Cheers.